this Christmas, we're gonna dance.
We're gonna dance, dance, dance,
Come on.
dance. We're gonna dance.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining me today. My name is Kara and I love to create through crafting, decorating, and cooking, and I also love to save money while doing all of my favorite things. Today I am so excited to be taking part in this Christmas in July collaboration. It is hosted by Keisha over at Sweet Urban Rose and Kerri at Mama Dares to DIY. So I will have both of their channels as well as the playlist to this collaboration linked down in the description box below. I am so excited to share what I came up with for today's DIYs. I've been wanting to do a baking and kind of like gingerbread theme in my kitchen for Christmas this year. And so I was able to come up with 3 DIYs, and today I spent $0 on supplies for these DIYs. A few of the items were things from Dollar Tree that I had in my craft stash or that I'm going to be repurposing from previous crafts, and a couple of them are just random household items that I can't wait to share with you. So come along with me and I hope you enjoy. First up, I am making this North Pole Baking Company sign, and I just had a bunch of scrap cardboard sitting around, so I decided to cut this one down to the size that I needed, and then I chalk painted it white first. I didn't worry too much about the edges because I knew I was going to distress this with some of my elephant chalk paint, and here's how that turned out. Then I made this printable on my computer. I just use Keynote. I really like a lot of the symbols they have. They have a lot of silhouette type of pictures on there that are really easy to work with and manipulate within that program. So I just made it say North Pole Baking Co. Fresh Cookies Daily with a rolling pin, and then inside the rolling pin there is a bowl with a spoon sticking out of it. So I'm just using my favorite method for transferring pictures onto another piece of paper or a sign, where I scribble on the back of my printed out item with pencil, and then that transfers a really light pencil line onto my surface, and then I just use a Sharpie pen to trace back over everything. And for the rolling pin part, I actually colored in the negative space instead of coloring the letters in, and I really liked the way that looked. Now I'm just taking some of these Dollar Tree paper straws, and I'm cutting a little slit out of each one using an X-Acto knife and some scissors so that it will fit over the edge of my cardboard and give me a nice clean edge, and then also give me this sort of candy cane holiday look. And I had these straws left over from the 4th of July. They were selling them in a pack with navy blue and red. So there's how that sign looked after I got the straws on. I'm just adding a hanger onto the back with some jute, and finally I decided it needed a little more adornment, so I added this little filigree on with a gingerbread man in the bottom, and I think this looks so cute. Oh, I love this sign. I can't wait to see it in the kitchen. Next up, I had one of these raw wood boxes from Dollar Tree that I had used for a couple of my 4th of July DIYs. You can even see that American flag like peeking through the holes in this box. I had chalk painted it white previously off camera, and then I'm just going in with some of this apple barrel acrylic paint in the brown oxide, and I'm using this tiny paintbrush. And here's a tip for you. This is actually a Dollar Tree makeup brush that I used to get really good detail. So anyway, now I am taking some caulk, and I just recently caulked a couple sinks in my house, and I thought, you know what, this is going to look like the perfect kind of like frosting to put on this gingerbread house. I feel like I've seen other DIYers do this with caulk in the past. So I put it into a plastic bag and cut a teeny hole, like the tiniest hole you could possibly cut out of the corner, and I'm using that for my very fine lines to outline the house, and then to outline those little scallops in the roof of this house. I'm not sure if this box is supposed to be a Christmas item. I mean, I found it out this summer, so I feel like you'd be able to find these pretty easily. But anyway, and then I kind of cut a larger hole into my bag and did a bit of a thicker line around the house. This was totally like a trial and error thing. I just kept, at first I thought I was going to leave the house like that, but then I wanted more detail on it, so I kept adding more things. I'm taking a couple of those tumbling tower blocks, the Jenga from Dollar Tree, and I'm just gluing those on the bottom because I want to give this some stability and help it stand up by itself so it doesn't tip forward. And that worked out just fine. All right, so next up, I did decide that I wanted to add a little more detail, so I outlined the window and the door, and then I go back in and add these teeny rectangles onto the door just for a little added detail. Next up, I'm gonna make a bow to go on this, so I just rolled up a small piece of wired ribbon. This was that buffalo plaid that I had left over from probably last Christmas. I bought a ton of this stuff. And I am just taking a small piece of jute and tying that into a knot in the middle to create this sweet little bow. I just reinforced this knot with a little bit of hot glue to make sure that it would stay, and trimmed off my tails, and it was good to go. So I just attached that onto the box with a little bit of hot glue, and then I'm going to put some fairy lights inside of this box to so that it can light up from inside. And I think that is going to make this small Dollar Tree wooden box just look so high-end and cute, and I can't wait to see this all lit up at night. For my last craft, I am making a gingerbread cookie 3D Christmas tree. So I started by printing off 2 Christmas tree outlines from the computer, and I made sure that one of them was 1 inch shorter than the other. And then I am just tracing those onto another piece of cardboard that I had sitting around the house, and I am carefully using an X-Acto knife and scissors to cut out those shapes. I really need these to look pretty good from both sides, so I was just working really slowly and carefully to make sure that this would look okay from all angles. Then I'm cutting a slit into the larger Christmas tree because I am going to put the smaller tree inside of the larger one, and they're going to intersect so that it will stand up all on its own. Now again, I'm using that same apple barrel brown oxide paint to give a nice couple of coats. I believe I did 2 or 3 coats on each side of both of these trees so that it has that nice warm toasty gingerbread color. And I let those completely dry, and then I put the smaller one inside of that slit that I cut in the larger one. And then I do need to just cut a small slit at the top of the smaller tree just so that it can fit nice and snugly into the larger tree. I want this to be nice and sturdy, so at all of the points where the 2 trees intersect, I'm just putting a bead of hot glue all along to make sure that it sticks together and won't slip out of place. Okay, so this was the fun part. I went in again with my caulk and I just kind of frosted the intersections between those two trees, and then I'm going to stand this up and go all along the edges of all of the trees. So I'm covering up the corrugated part of that cardboard so that when this stands up, we really won't be able to tell that that's what it is. And it's just going to look like a delicious gingerbread cookie with some really yummy frosting. When I finished piping on all the caulk, I just used a couple of toothpicks to kind of clean up any rough edges, and then I'm moving on to sprinkles. So I am using real sprinkles for this because I had these sitting around, and there are small white ones in here that look sort of like pearls. So I decided to pick all of those out and use them for this project. But you could use like small plastic pearls or something like that too. That would be great. And my cat Mango is going to make a little appearance here while he was looking out the window. He loves to help me craft, and by help I mean get in the way and usually be pretty destructive. But anyway, I'm just making a pattern. I wanted these to look kind of more concentrated toward the top and then more spread out toward the bottom, so hopefully I achieved that. Now it's time to put everything together on my tiered tray, and I'm using this cookie cutter set that I had in my baking stash, and I'm just picking out all the Christmassy looking ones and I put them on my tiered tray along with my Gingerbread House box and some hot cocoa in some little jars and my gingerbread tree. I love that. And last but not least, I have my North Pole Baking Co. sign over here that I think is going to go perfect next to my mixer and wooden spoons. Thanks again so much for being here, and if you like this video and you want to see more of what I create, please feel free to click the subscribe button and leave me a comment below letting me know which one was your favorite and what kind of theme you're starting to think about for the holidays this year. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Wanna hang out with my friends and